Hey there everybody, what's up? Kevin here from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Today YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be figuring out if I like a certain artist or not that I'm really not that well acquainted with. And again, I picked one that is dividing metal fans today, so it's all on Poppy. So before we get started, please follow My Song of the Day Rock 2000 on places like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll be notified for the 30-second Song of the Day features anytime anything gets released. And we ask you a lot of questions like, what's your favorite band's album from this band? If you take this band and this band, put them together, which one's your favorite and why? What's your favorite song from certain bands? On Instagram, which is our biggest platform to date, we also have our IGTV series, which is a look behind the scenes what we're doing here, a couple of behind the scenes things that you're going to want to stay in the know with. And every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, we do an hour live stream. You can come hang out with us, talk with us, have a good time. Please also subscribe to this YouTube channel because we have these Kevin Figures Out videos, which I'm going to be doing a lot more of, or me trying to figure out artists that I really don't know or didn't know that much about in the rock and metal scene, see if I like them or not. We also do our album reviews on here, our band reviews on here, and the top 10 list. And of course, the Chord Progression podcast lives on here. Now, the Chord Progression podcast is all about interviewing the bands emerging in the scene right now. So you're going to want to get in the know with them before the end of the 2020s. It's going to be a great way to get in the know with them for a long period of time. You can follow along and subscribe to that and listen here on YouTube and watch the video with the interviews, or you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. But enough with that, let's get on to the video. So why am I picking Poppy to do something like this? And why I'm picking Poppy is very similar to why I picked baby metal, because there is a vast divide with metal fans within their two realms where either you really like them or you really don't like them. You have to figure out why. Finn McKenty of the Punk Rock MBA really put out a video about why metal fans are divided on baby metal and Poppy. And basically he said that it was all on their image and their gimmick, and while their image and their gimmick really doesn't, follow along suit with the kind of standard metal gimmick and image that you would expect. With baby metal, we already talked about, they had that cute, quiet gimmick, and with Poppy, you do have that kind of like that, as he would say, PC pop style, but also very weird as well, kind of Billie Eilish style, kind of that really just out there style. So it doesn't really work with metal fans. That's why there's a divide there, because with metal fans, they love the gimmicks, but they like the gimmicks that are a little bit more darker, deeper, demonic, that kind of stuff. So take a look at Slipknot with the masks, Gojira with just the whatever the heck they did, Steel Panther with the 80s style, and of course, take a look at my favorite with the horror kind of vibe to it, Ice Nine Kills. Another reason why I'm doing this video is because Poppy was to be slated as the opener on the upcoming Gojira and Deftones tour, and there was a lot of divide there because Poppy kind of really didn't go into that metal and hard rock foray with her music up until her 2019 EP and really with her 2020 release. So all of a sudden with this coming out, there were a lot of bands out there that said, hey, we've grinded out for so long in clubs and in basements and in all these different places, and all of a sudden this girl up on the internet all of a sudden gets to open up for one of the biggest bands in hard rock. Like, what's going on here? So of course that really caused a divide, and I was slated to go to that show on August 8th, 2020 here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but of course COVID happened. But as I'm shooting this video, it was rescheduled in Milwaukee for August 14th, 2021. Am I still gonna go to that show? Yeah. And of course, because of, I did baby metal on the last one, it just seemed natural to flow right into Poppy on this one. So I'm gonna be taking a look at figuring out if I like Poppy on 3 different categories. I'm gonna take a look at her music, take a look at listening to it, what the style's like, and if I like it. I'm gonna take a look at her image and her gimmick as well and see if that image and that persona and gimmick really match up with what I like. And then of course, take a look at the community as well and see if there's a community there that I could really also get a part of, or am not really a part of it all, or couldn't really connect with it. And then I'll give you my final verdict. So let's go. Okay, so before I give my full verdict on Poppy, on her music and all that kind of stuff, I mean, we gotta listen to it, don't we? So, here we go. Well now, that was interesting. So after listening to the entire discography that Poppy has out right now, here's what I came up with it. And taking a look at her early work off of albums like Poppy Computer and Am I a Girl, you can really tell that Poppy's original works and, early works, I should say, were really based on alternative pop sense, where when you listen to the pop music, I mean, there's a lot of electronic, brighter, happier sounds, a little more rapid pace, not really too fast, more upbeat kind of style to it, to really give off that pop feel that was very prevalent inside the 2010s. Also going through her music, there are a lot of those like powerful pop female empowerment anthems on songs like Iconic and Chick Chick, but then the alternative pop sounds really kind of funneled in there a lot more. That alternate pop sound did turn up in there in a couple of examples, and this is what I looked at. There are some demonic and more computer-generated tones in a song like I Am Poppy that really kind of give it a little bit more of a different style. There are some slower paced songs that have a chopped up style, very much like a Charlie XCX would have, that really kind of remind me of what Poppy was doing on this one, a song like In a Minute. And there's slower, more down-tuned pop tendencies and vocal patterns that also reminded me of someone like Billie Eilish in a song like Fashion After All. But she does have a heavier hard rock track on Am I a Girl, and it's called X, and it has this heavier metal style that also teases, the psychedelic pop style, and I was very kind of thrown off by it. I'm like, what the heck is actually going on here? So you can see an earlier foray into some of this rock and metal style, but for the most part, it was very heavily influenced in that alternative pop style. So what do I think of her early work from her first 2 albums? And while I respect it, it's not something I really connect with. I respect it because she really went heavy and deep in with the persona that she created on her own YouTube channel before she started with music and releasing music to the public. So I really respect how she went there, and also kind of following it with that alternative pop style, like a Charlie XCX style. But why I don't really like music is I don't really like alternative pop music. I don't like pop music that much in general. The brighter tones, the more electronically produced sound, that heavily produced sound, it's just something that really doesn't connect with me in any sense of the word. So really, I'm gonna pass on that. When I take a look at X though, I have a little bit of a different feel to it, because there are those psychedelic parts in that remind me of Beatles psychedelic rock, which I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But then she brings in more of this metal hard rock instrumentation that also is kind of very reminiscent of a band like In This Moment. I do respect the contrast though, but as someone who's not necessarily fully in with In This Moment and really doesn't like that psychedelic rock style, I don't really pick up on the contrast. However, I do respect what she's trying here. Now I jumped into the Choke EP, which came out in 2019, and I thought that the Choke EP showed that she was going to be trying a little bit more things with that alternative pop bass that she had. And you take a look at songs like Choke and Meat, they were heavy bass, like that dubstep-like bass, with a much slower tuned pop styling, which of course, something I'm going to be a little bit, oh, this is weird, it's all pop, but also very heavy at the same time. And with Meat, it was more psychedelic, but I thought, you know what? Not necessarily something I'm going for. Then I jumped into Voicemail, and Voicemail is a little bit different because it was heavily electronic, but it had that fast-paced, heavy electronic style that reminded me a lot of something like Fever 333 would do, but this was more in an alternative pop sense, a little bit more electronic style. And when I thought Fever 333, I'm like, you know what? This would be an interesting kind of collaboration. That's when I got to the next song. So I actually had a song called Scary Mask, which featured Fever 333 on there, and I was a little curious about it to see what would happen, and my opinion was this was kind of built like a baby metal song, where it's going to be something that was going to be completely different, and seeing how the vocals and the instrumentation kind of played up to it with a faster, hotter paced kind of style, a little bit more wackiness added to it. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. I didn't really care for what Poppy was doing on this one because I didn't think the vocals really matched up, especially when compared to Jason Allen Butler coming in, going with that more faster, perfect for a hardcore punk rap style. I was like, yeah, Jason Allen Butler really bolstered up this song, I'm not going to lie. Poppy, on the other hand, I was like, ooh, this really isn't necessarily for me. So overall, in the Choke EP, I do respect the fact that she's going and experimenting with more styles, but of course, because that bass was so heavily alt-pop, I was like, you know what? This necessarily isn't for me, but I got a whole other album to look at, so let's go, and let's see if I disagree. So going into I Disagree, I can see why she was picked to open up for Deftones and Gojira, because in this style she brought in a little bit more metal and hard rock influences in a lot of her music, but she also stayed with that alt pop bass. So let's take a look at a couple of songs. Take a look at a song like All the Things She Said, where this has this pop sound of like Charlie XCX meets Sia's Chandelier, but with heavier drumming, more electronic influences. Take a look at a song like I Disagree, which a more electronic sound that's like an In This Moment song, with also meets like some punk influences from Fever 333. So there was a lot of kind of stuff going on there. Then there was some more ambient pop stylings in a song like Blood Money, but had an electronic punk rock feel that Fever 333 really puts out there. And then you had this Americanized baby metal style with like instead of like J-pop, you had this like 80s Madonna style added to it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting, a song like Play Destroy. So overall, what do I think about this? I gotta say I really don't care for it. So overall right now with Poppy's music, I really just don't care for it, so I'm gonna pass on this one specifically. Reason being is because when I took a look at her music, it was heavily featured in that alt-pop style, more slower pace, and also mixing with some fast pace in there. It was all this kind of more wackiness to it, and just kind of just stuff that was very heavily electronicized that I really don't, get behind at all, especially more of a pop music sense and overproduction kind of sense. As she's gone into 2019 and into 2020, I've seen more hard rock and metal influences in there, and while I do like Fever 333 and I like the influence that's going with it, I'm just not sure her vocal style really matches up with more of that influence of like a Fever 333 hardcore punk rock rap kind of style. When she does go metal with it, I really kind of make this connection where it's like she's going metal, but going metal with like a style like In This Moment or New Year's Day. So fans of those kind of bands could really get into pop music, especially kind of into the foray of that. Myself though, I'm not a big In This Moment fan. I'm not that big of a New Year's Day fan. I do like some of their songs, but I don't connect to their music nearly as much as I do with bands like Rise Against, Iceland Kills, Disturbed, Hollywood Undead, Breaking Benjamin, Motionless in White. So there's potential there, and that's why I'm going to be like, you know, for now I'm going to say no. And the reason for music why now I'm going to say no is because I see where it's going, and I'm curious to see what the next step is. But with what I'm looking at right now, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to pass. So now time for her image and her gimmick, and if I have to understand her image and her gimmick, I'm going to have to go back to her YouTube channel before she started making music and really take a look at the performance art videos she was doing, because she was doing a lot of videos that were kind of just performance art videos that were being more artistic and satirical of the current state of the world, but she was doing it in some really weird for the sake of weird way. Kind of had this like very cyborg, non-human, cultish like feel to it. And I took a look at a couple of videos and it really did stand out. There was one that was like called How to Apply a Mask, with just her applying a mask and just being very just nonchalant, really creepy about it. And it was released in March of 2017, kind of 3 years too early if you ask me with what's going on right now. She made a God is Real video. It's all about self-love, but it's just her staring at the camera and just at the end of it all of a sudden just saying God is real while talking about self-love in front of it. And then also, Can We Go Back? And I swear if I got high for something like this video would really freak me out, because it was just like, what's going on here? Huh. I got some people I could reference this video to. Woo! Overall, for me, with this early persona with her performance art videos, I'm gonna have to give a big pass on it, because I am not into that weird for the sake of weird kind of style. I do like weird stuff, but not like that. However, one thing I do have to do is respect the hustle and the grind, because the internet is a very interesting place. I know a lot of people that'd be really down for it, and I gotta respect the hustle and the grind. It's there. Now I have to jump into some music videos to really get her sense of like her persona and her style and her gimmick when it comes to her music. And the first one I looked at was X, and all I could say was, after just listening to the music first, holy crap was I right. Because there are parts of it that are more psychedelic featured, and they remind me of like the Beatles when they were in their psychedelic tone. I mean, even in the first verse, it looks like Poppy's in a meadow with someone playing a guitar that literally looks like John Lennon during that late 60s era Beatles, that psychedelic era from 1967. It just stands out so much. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And then when I was watching the videos, when they got a little bit more with that rock and metal sense that I thought was very much like In This Moment, Poppy had that In This Moment sense to her. You take a look at some of the style that she went with, it was like Chris Motionless from Immaculate Misconception when she was all covered in blood, but without the emotion to it, with much more that Poppy straightforward cyborg-like emotion. And then you take a look at some of the times she's dressed a little bit more elegantly without the blood, and it was very reminiscent of like what Maria Brink would do. So I'm just like, dang, this actually kind of fits in interesting, especially when you're watching the music video along with it. Then I watched I Disagree, and my thoughts on the Maria Brink connection and like that kind of style, it really came forward here, because with a lot of the way she was dressed in that, it kind of reminded me of a lot of the Maria Brink style. And then the video was just guys in a boardroom, looked like a music producer thing, and then all of a sudden she kind of like killed them, but also had that creepy just blank stare cyborg vibe the whole entire time through. And it kind of freaked me out, but I was like, okay, this is definitely something here where the music videos are really pulling it out. And overall, do I really get behind her gimmick and her image and her persona? It depends. So when I took a look at her YouTube channel with everything before she was really poppy with the music, when she was just that poppy on the internet, man, it was weird. I can't get behind that. I mean, if I got high, I'd get freaked the hell out, even more so than I was already. But then when I watched the music videos, it was something completely different, because that blank cyborg cult-like persona to it just really worked out in the music videos, because that blank expression worked incredibly well, especially in the darker tones of those music videos, especially in X when she was kind of going that more Maria Brink style, but just the blank expression. And then when she was drenched in blood and had like no expression to whatsoever, I have no idea why, but that freaky gimmick just, it all worked out for me in some sort of way. So when it came down to her image and her gimmick, I'm like, you know, normally no, but when you mix it with the music, I'm like, okay, there is definitely something here for me going forward that I really want to keep my eye on, because she's got something here that I'm really starting to get into. Now it's time to take a look at the Poppy community and the fan base and really see where it is. And of course, to find out like what more like the fan base is like, really get a big kind of look at it, I went to Reddit. Yep, I went to Reddit, went to the threads, and kind of looked through a bunch of them. And what I got was there were two major kind of Poppy fans. And the major kind of Poppy fans, or Poppy seeds as they most might be called, which actually kind of fits really weirdly, there are two different groupings that I found. One grouping is teen girls between 15 and 17. So think about this. Teen girls that are in high school during the coronavirus pandemic are really going to associate with Poppy. That's what I've kind of got there. And I also got geek culture males, kind of geek culture males that are in between the ages of 20 and now. So guys that graduated from high school in 2010s that really like Poppy for that artistic and satirical style. So for me personally, do I kind of fit with those? Not really, because I'm a guy. I don't fit in the teen girl category. And when it comes to that more geeky kind of category, that's more satirical, more appreciate the artistry, I just really don't appreciate it as much as they do or nearly enough. So it's like, you know what? I'm kind of going to back off on that one just because I just don't fit in that style, nor am I really fitting in with the community at all. One thing I saw with her, how she connects with her fans, is in a very interesting way. I saw on Twitter that when she's connecting with her fans, she doesn't really connect with anyone outside of younger girls. When on Twitter, she'll retweet them, she'll have conversations with them, but still stick in that Poppy persona, which is pretty amazing. She's also an ambassador for Hello Kitty, which also kind of makes sense in the whole entire thing. And then there's a channel, of course, everyone knows it, FBE, they do all the reaction stuff. They did one where kids react to Poppy, and it was literally they had Poppy in a box, and she stayed in character the whole entire time. It was amazing. So I have to give her major props on dedication to the character. Overall, though, I don't really fit in the fan base, and I can see why metal fans are divided on this, but however, I do completely respect the fact that she's staying with this gimmick, with this image, and sticking with it with her community, and her community loves her for it, and kind of how it's morphed into the music as well. You know what? It's got an interesting feel to it, not gonna lie, so I gotta give her some respect for it, and the community really getting behind it. Yeah, I can see why a community would get behind it. I can see why hardcore metal fans or metalists would be like, no, 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 but I can see why people that are more, you know, okay, see what's going on here, could be like, yeah, this ain't bad. So now time for my overall thought and trying to figure it out, do I like Poppy? And my answer at this moment in the middle of 2020 is no, I don't. However, I'm be keeping my eye on her because I see something that might happen. So why am I not into Poppy's music? As many of you know, like I'm a huge punk rock guy with my Rise Against fandom. I love metalcore with Ice Nine Kills, Motionless in White, and a lot of bands have come off there like Fit for a King, August Burns Red, Tribute, kind of going down the line, and of course hard rock with bands like Venus Grey Saint and Sylvia and Breaking Benjamin. So I really get into that, and when I take a look at Poppy's music, especially because it's really built in that alt pop style, I just don't resonate well with it. It's just not something that is for me. However, when Poppy is going with more of that metal style and hard rock style, the time that she's going with more of that faster pace style, it really reminds me of Fever 333. I'm a little bit more intrigued by it, but I just don't like how her vocals contrast against the Fever 333 style. When you take a look at when she goes more metal, it reminds me a lot of In This Moment. And while there's some In This Moment songs I actually do like, I'm really not the biggest fan of In This Moment, so it just doesn't necessarily match out well for me. However, why I'm keeping an open mind with her music is I'm seeing the trajectory that it's on. I'm very curious to see what happens next, especially now that she's going to be more in the rock and metal scene, especially opening for Gojira and Deftones on that tour. When I look at her image and her gimmick, it's just not something I can get behind right now. When I take a look at her YouTube videos before she was Poppy the musical artist with all the performance art videos, it was so creepy, cyborgish cult. Like I was like, you know what? This definitely ain't for me. And it might be the fact that, you know, I'm 25, I don't really fit in the category of younger kids that are really liking this stuff, where there are some gimmicks that I can really get behind. Take a look at Chris Motionless. Motionless was more of that like dark emo kind of style. Take a look at Gwar, where I don't really like their music, but I love going to see them live because of their gimmick with like that demonic style. And of course, Ice Nine Kills with the horror gimmick, which I absolutely love. But one thing I see with Poppy with her images is like, not only the dedication to it, but also how it's being transformed in the music video. So after I watched the music video for X and I disagreed, it was something completely different where that blank cyborgness really did work out well with the image that she was being portrayed in that music video. So when I go see her live in 2021, opening for Gojira and Deftones, am I going to be interested to see how this whole entire live show gets played out? Yeah, I'm definitely going to be interested in seeing how it plays out, especially see what happens 1 year from now with how her music, you know, evolves, and if she releases something new with more metal influences there, how this is all going to going to play out. You know, I'm really interested to see how this happens, but I think that blank cyborgy metal gimmick could really work out here, and it's something that after watching music videos, I'm really open to seeing where it goes from here. So I'm not, you know, closing the door completely on the image. I'm keeping it open. And then taking a look at the community as well, where I don't really fit in that, you know, 20s guy culture that really appreciates Poppy for her more satirical and artistical sense, or in the teen girl category because I'm not a teen girl. Yeah, it's not really going to connect with the community or connect with Poppy in that way. However, as she forays more into rock and metal, I'm going to be like, you know what, I'm going to be more interested to see how this one ends up. So I'm going to be keeping an open mind because I could easily end up following that community if she continues on that rock and metal path. So in summary, I'm going to be passing on Poppy right now. However, I'm going to be keeping my eye on her. Mostly because taking a look at the trajectory that she's on, bringing more rock and metal influences in there, and seeing how that blank cyborg cult-like persona really works out, especially in those music videos, and kind of how the community connects with it. I'm curious to see how this could transition forward because right now, I'm just not into her music. I'm not into it. But could I be? I'll revisit this in a year or two and see what happens because I see a trajectory that's really more geared towards something that I like. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I'm going to pass on Poppy. So that's going to be it for this video. This one was actually really fun to make because I had no idea about anything with Poppy's music or anything about it. And especially with already having the ticket to see her perform live, which would have been next month in 2020 in August. But of course, it's being pushed to 2021. Kind of interesting. So we'll see how that all plays out. But, you know, I might make a video of like, okay, I saw Poppy for the first time live. But what did I think? We'll go from there. So again, I'm going to pass on Poppy. However, I'm going to revisit Poppy at some point because the potential is still there. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. This is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2008 YouTube channel. You guys know I end this video at flip time. Out. See ya!